start talking like an asshole.
No, I smoked for 20 years and I gave it up and I started vaping and now I've got beard dandruff and crusty knuckles.
I got all this beard dandruff and I don't know what to do with it. I had to wear a white shirt because I'm just such a filthy bastard.
I got rust all over my knuckles and I don't know why. It has to be.
Oh, shitball.
Sprinkle some craft dust on your fucking knuckles and call it a problem with vaping.
Did that happen to Rip Trippers as well when he lost his beard? He got crusty knuckles.
Yeah, I think so.
And a salty vagina.
Yeah, very much.
Indeed.
Why did I apostrophe that S there? Sorry, James. It was like that was like what was the Mexican version? Jaime.
Yeah.
What's up, Rudy?
Live chat. Oh, so yeah, I guess we're live.
Yeah, we're live and stuff.
So since we started off a little different than everybody else, where they have their little intro and they do stuff, we just wait a couple minutes to get going for people rolling because we're just like, okay, we're in.
I think we should talk about the beard dandruff and the reduction, the tobacco beard reduction of Vape Malone.
I know, right?
Look, everyone, you can see my neck.
Dude,
it looks
it's not okay.
So weird.
It's not okay. I didn't think he had a neck.
Time in forever.
See, now you're going to get a copyright strike.
You can see my neck.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Ray.
Debearditized. It's
James Rivera,
debearditized.
Rudy Flores, Raven Shadow. What's going on, guys? Scotty Scott, jangling. Oh, my God.
Matty Tooney. Legion,
Toonie,
what's up,
Legion.
buddy? Shane Beacon,
Shane.
what's up, dude? Hope you're doing all right, man. It's just...
Do you guys have Milo?
Stefan,
in the
hey,
US?
look, Stefan's in the chat.
Hey, Stefan's in here. What's he doing?
What's up, man?
What's he doing in here?
He's got his call center headset. He's ready. Let's go. Fuck that shit. Let's go.
I'm gonna take some calls, and I'm not giving anybody a refund today.
Sorry, you're out of warranty.
Always. Always.
Oh, you pay $100 a month for that insurance? I'm sorry, it's not covered.
Right.
Not covered.
Yeah, just take it back to where you purchased it.
Yeah, and buy a new one.
Just
All right.
put it back from where you stole it.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, we got people rolling
Mike Bird's
in.
up in here with his new name, Pittsburgh Vapes or something, right? Pittsburgh
Why am I all fucking blurry?
State. Oh yeah, what's up, State? Train Sonic. What's up, Lab
Blurry
Works?
now.
The pirates in here.
There we go.
Yar.
Yo,
Yar.
pirate.
Oh, Raven came for the.
You mean the cheese grater? Isn't that what you said?
For the cookies, she came to the right place.
But not just the thing that looks like a fucking cheese
I
grater.
haven't seen it.
Oh,
I still like the post, I think. Fucking sounds funny.
Well, you know what doesn't sound funny? Hey, we've got a 6K monitor. It's only $5,000, but if you want the monitor stand, it's another $1,000.
Stupid.
For the
man.
stand?
I
Adjustable.
kid you not, $1,000 for the monitor stand.
Out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control.
Yeah.
Too much. Good Lord. Those fuckers are on dope if they think they can. Well, they can because people will buy it. What am I fucking talking about?
Somebody's probably going to buy it. I mean, $1,000 for a monitor stand. You can get really, really amazing Ergotron arms for like way less than that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
The thing,
you
you
got
just
one off Amazon for like $60.
fuck, man. That's
It's a
crazy.
nice one.
Okay, so I think we should start it off by
Yeah.
something that I did the first time that I met Stefan. Was I said, "Hey, man, what's up, buddy? Nice to meet you. How the fuck do I say your name? Is it Stefan or Stefan? And what's your
Stefan.
answer?"
Stefan,
Thank you,
there you go.
Stefan. But that's
also
not what you fucking told me, asshole. You told me, oh, either way is fine.
No, I think what I,
always stuck with Stefan, so I called it right.
no, I think what I literally said is, yeah, whatever, anything works. I also respond pretty well to "Hey, you."
Yeah, that was probably it. Nice. So Stefan it is. So let's do like a quick go around, and then we'll let Stefan talk a little bit about stuff. You think? What do you
What
think?
are we doing? What?
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with what I said.
Cool.
So, Vape Alone, why don't you start out first because you have a nicely coiffed beard.
Okay, what am I doing?
You talk about what you're vaping, maybe talk about your beard so people don't freak out.
Okay. Yeah, I cut off my beard, everybody. I apologize. It's
Thank
for
you,
personal
thank you.
reasons and summertime reasons. So a little bit of both. And yeah, so I am vaping on one thing today. I got a sample from Mike at Vape Happy, the Mutant RDA by
Ooh, the Mutant.
Vaping with
Oh.
420 and Bandy Vape.
Nice. Yeah,
It's a
Richard
dual-
was on Matt's show today, right? I was out
Yeah,
and about. I couldn't catch it.
Yeah, Suck My Mondays. That's
Yeah.
what I call it.
That's a good name. Let's forward that on.
Right?
Right?
That's what I call it.
We
personally.
got to get residuals though.
I
That's
get
a Three Amigos original.
Yeah, I was like, suck my Mondays. Like, because it makes sense, right? Mondays suck, you know? You're sucking the Mondays,
It's got layers,
Whatever.
and that's why I like it.
right? Yeah. So, yeah, everybody in chat, put what you're vaping on too while we go along here. But yeah, this thing's really cool. Dual vertical coils. The build deck is super easy. I do have some tricks and tips for it though. So if anybody wants to know, just ask me. And I've played with it thoroughly,
Wow.
like almost to the
Do a review.
Do a review. Review.
Yeah, I've used every airflow setting on here, and I've done 2 different types of builds, and I've done a continuous wick in it, and I've done 2 separate wicks. Which
Yeah, the continuous. That's a good one
Yeah, for squonking, the continuous wick is dope.
because it's got a fountain.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
the top squonk, penis,
Yeah.
and pillar, and then it just goes right into the cotton, and then right into the coils. It's like perfect, like shower.
Oh, JVC. Mwah. I love you, my dear.
And then vaping on some corny ass pudding or that cornbread pudding or that
Corn-fed.
corn-fed pudding, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. That's what I want to call it.
And that's it.
So is it whose turn?
Well, just give me a
Yours.
second. I was pausing for effect. Jeez.
Excuse the fucking hell out of me. Jesus Christ.
Jeez. Breeze Tom.
Breeze tones. I have the Caliburn with some lemonade in it. I also have a dead goat. That's my standard setup with Mr. Labworks Pirate Elixir, the Event Horizon.
The Event Horizon.
Yeah. Dovpo V with the Drop Dead, which has actually another one, Paul's in there. His LV 236195921 Alpha Bravo Charlie liquid. I actually can't remember the name of it.
The
That
mutation
is-
juice.
That's the one. Berries and citrus, and that is actually it. Oh, I have a little Ryan lurking around as well. I might have a little toot on that. Chuck, it's you.
Did I catch a niner in that?
There was a niner. There was definitely a niner. Maybe a Delta Bravo too. I'm not quite sure, but
Were you on a
It was a
walkie-talkie?
Foxtrot. Foxtrot. Okay.
Yeah.
Dreamer, Ardent, hybridized with I don't even know what the hell's in there. Probably some. Yeah, I think it actually is the LS99er Bravo fucking Smoking the Bandit. And then Dagger, Toonie K Fun with more Labworks, chocolate mint cookie ice cream, and NorCal Sick Boy Vindicator, original recipe recoil with something else. I don't know. Whatever. Good stuff. I love you, JBC. Stefan! The Nira Ninja! Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I broke a tank, so I had to get a new one. Yeah, so I've got my regular DNA S body, small little handheld thingies.
So technical.
So technical. Well, they're sort of really old, but they're great. So for cloudy stuff, I got a Wotofo Elevate.
Oh, really?
Nice.
You know what? This thing actually works really, really well.
I got one somewhere.
It works even better with my 85 milligram DIY liquid that I'm using in here.
You are a sick fuck. We're gonna get into that too. You almost fucking killed me one day.
Actually, no, it's 50. And for Mao Too Long, I've got a similar S-Buddy with an X-Vape Exprimizer, which surprisingly gives me exactly the sort of MTL draw that I've been looking for in a tank.
What is that?
An Exprimizer.
I've never heard of that.
It's basically a rebuildable tank because
Yeah.
I don't like buying coils since I can like make my own.
Yeah.
So there's this like tiny little 6-wrap 26 gauge in there running 15 watts and 50 milligram mango. You've experienced that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Sounds scarred.
Gives me sort of the same draw as my Reynolds Fuse Altos.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the same 50 milligrams. So yeah, that sort of keeps me going an entire tank a day.
There you go.
That's something that we don't really see much of you, Stefan, is like what you vape and that you build coils, and that's really interesting for me to hear.
I've been making my own liquid for years and years and years, and I've been doing the rebuilding thing. It's just often I used to do the rebuilding stuff and got into making aliens and Claptons and all that.
Nice.
Except it takes so much time. So these days it's like I will grab a 22, a 24, a 26 gauge, quick 6-wrap, get it in there, done. I mean,
Nice.
it vapes, it works. It like I've become a very, very simple vapor. I haven't bought anything for a year.
Right.
Until I broke something and had to order stuff. So
yeah. So Stefan's looking for sponsorship if anyone's interested.
He's got hand checks aplenty, ready to go.
You know, when I do a hand check, it usually has like a Jewel and a Reynolds product or an Enjoy in there, because I know that when I post those hand checks, people get so pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in case people don't know this about Stefan, he likes to kick the hornet's nest. He's a fan of that, which is why I love him. But you know, I can be a little prickly to some folks.
Well, I love the people who just like argue that if you use products like that, you're not a real vapor. So yeah, I sort of like it when people call me not a real vapor.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
It leads to great conversation.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. They're great. Okay, so now we got through that. Did you want to just maybe give us a little bit of your backstory, a little bit of like the progression from where you started to where you are now? That'd be nice for people to know.
Right. So I started vaping sometime in, I think it was late 2012. I can't really remember exactly when. Moved to Oakley. Ended up walking down the stairs. Yay, Oakley.
Oakley!
So down the stairs like 40 times a day, light up a cigarette outside because everything's like really high. The ceilings are really high. Everything's like really white. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to like paint that every 2 years now. So 40 times a day going down the stairs was such an intrusion on my focus and work I was doing in my office. Like, I've heard about these electronic cigarettes. Let me just check that out. So investigated the liquid, what's in it, how these things work, ordered a bunch of V2s online. And from pretty much the first day, I'm like, wow, this actually works. But, you know, the batteries are shit. You burn out coils really fast. And it wasn't until a few months later, I was in San Francisco for a tech conference. And there's this guy outside with an Ego and a CE4 tank on. And I'm like, what the hell's that? And he's standing with all the smokers. So he told me, he said, no, I ordered that from like Colorado e-smokes. It's like a whole kit with batteries. And so I spent $150.
Yeah, expensive too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. 2 Ego batteries, 2 CE4 tanks, charger, and 2 bottles of 36 mil tobacco liquids. I think I paid $150.
Whew. Yeah.
However, 4 days later, hadn't gone out, hadn't taken a smoke, none of it. So there's
and argue with results.
Right. And there's this carton of Marlboro sitting in one of my drawers in the kitchen. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to finish these off and then I'm probably going to stick with this. So 4 days, no smoking, just only vaping. I walk outside, light up a Marlboro Red, and 2 puffs into it. And I'm like, ew, that's harsh. Ooh, that stinks. Ooh, this is nasty. So I put it out. I walk back in and my wife goes, did you just inhale that entire thing in like, what, 20 seconds? And I'm like, no, it's like disgusting and it stinks. And she goes like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that for 17 years.
Right? Oh, now you understand.
All of a sudden.
Right. So then around like late 2013, I started looking into what was going on with vaping. At the time, I'm seeing people using like these metal devices and wondering like, why the hell would you? Like, what's the point? Right? Like, I don't get it. Well, after I got one, I got it. Same thing with boxes. Like you're stuck with tubes, and you see people with boxes, and you go like, why the hell would you want to have a box? And then when you get one, and you go through that whole progression. But late 2013, a few articles appeared in the local paper, and Oakley was going to do a public use ban because these things were dangerous and they contain antifreeze and blah blah blah. And I'm like, these people are nuts. And I'm a director at the Chamber of Commerce, so I know all the council members. Like, we have breakfast with them at least twice a month. So I went into the hearing and set the record straight and got the whole thing moved off the agenda. I post about it on Reddit, and I'm like, well, this happened here in Oakley because I was following Reddit ECR. This happened in Oakley, blah, blah. Got a message from somebody, no clue who she was. Phone number, said, yeah, you should give me a call. So give her a call, and she's the first words out of her mouth was, who the hell are you and what did you do? Like, I didn't know, but yeah, I just did that. Anyway, that was Julie Wisner over at CASA.
Yep.
So a month later, I'm fighting my first state bill, me, my wife, 2 other vapors. That state bill went through its like usual progression. So next hearing, I had like 20 people there. Next hearing, I had 40 people there. Then it turns out that most of the people were business owners, not average vapors, because it's harder to get time off and like deal with that if you're like at work. So most of them are business owners, liquid manufacturers. This is still early days, like early 2014. And SFATA was just a relatively new thing, and they opened up this idea to have like state chapters. And one of the people asked me like, hey, could you help us set that up? And I'm like, sure. So I got on the phone with Cynthia over at SFATA, had her fly out to Sacramento. We did this whole thing, invited all the business owners, started the NorCal chapter of SFATA. At the same time, the SoCal chapter was starting. Then I started to help start 7 other SFATA chapters in other states.
Can you, just in case people don't know, tell them what SFATA is?
SFATA, it's like this awkward acronym that nobody really knows how to pronounce. Stands for Smoke-Free Alternative Straight Association.
Thank you.
So
that's why I said it.
Right, and
people are like, so simple. What? Huh?
Right, and constantly I'm like, okay, I need to go back and tend to my own business because I've been sitting on my ass for like a year trying to come up with new ideas, and finally came up with something and was gonna work hard on it. This was sucking up a lot of time. So when everything was said and done, I'm like, okay, guys, you have to like take this and run this. And Cynthia's like, no, you started it, you run it. So I ended up doing that for quite a lot of time. Then in 2015, had this little thing happen. Greg from AVA gave me a call. He's like, so I just got off the phone with the San Francisco Chronicle. Apparently the California Department of Health is launching a campaign, an anti-vaping campaign. The only thing he knew was it was called Still Blowing Smoke.
Yeah.
Okay. So when is this going to launch? On Monday. This is on a Friday.
This is the best. This is the best. Everyone listen.
So it's a Friday, right? And I'm like, shit. I found the domain, stillblowingsmoke.org. Okay, great. It had a landing page. I'm a tech guy, so a landing page doesn't generally stop me. So I saw their content, saw their pages, then looked at all their other stuff, and I'm like, wait, you haven't registered your Twitter account, you haven't taken out Facebook pages, you don't have any social media, and this is part of your social media effort, and this is what $7 million gets you. at this point, I cannot reach anybody at Svada with the idea I had in the back of my head. There's no way to run it by any lawyers. And I'm like, you know what? Not Blowing Smoke is available as a domain. Let me register all the Still and Not Blowing Smoke social media accounts on every single platform. I quickly created a Facebook group, rallied about 100 of my friends, and said, hey, I'm going to do this thing on Monday. And when I pull the trigger, I want you all to share it all over the fucking wazoo. So I spent literally 38 hours building the entire website, making it look like the Still Blowing Smoke one, taking their messaging and converting it into truthful messaging. And then we pretty much launched at within an hour interval, because I kept like refreshing to see when they went live. And yeah, we both did. And according to the British Medical Journal, we literally derailed their entire social media part. I mean, the graphs that they did in the analysis of the social media was really amazing, because ours basically theirs went from whoops, and then it fell flat, and ours went whoops and went exponential. So then I started getting calls from like all over the place, and emails and text messages. Hey, could you do something like that here? Hey, could you do it in my state? Hey, could you do Camille Winans from Instagram contacted me, and she says, you guys aren't on Instagram. You need to be on Instagram. Let me run it. Funny thing is, I had seen her online, and the first thing when she gave me her numbers, walked down and tell my wife, wow, I should have done this earlier. Like, vape models are like throwing their phone numbers at me.
Hey, man, I'm a fucking rock star, dude. What's up?
So she did all that. Jason was involved because he was basically the word wrangler who helped make sure that all the lengthy text was like really catchphrasey, really short, really simple. And yeah, it sort of blew up, and I had no idea. Like this was my middle finger. At this point, I'm sort of fed up with doing this Svada stuff, because it was turning into an 8-hour-a-day job, unpaid job at that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, MBS is going to be this thing, my last middle finger, boom, and hey, I'm done. Yeah, well, it blew up, and that was in March. And then we started seriously talking about, should we do this as a nonprofit because people want more? Well, let's give it a shot. So we started a fundraiser. We needed the money to basically pay for all the paperwork and lawyers and doing everything right. And that went actually pretty well. Way better than we expected. So in August, we started MBS as a nonprofit, and did it until December last year.
Crazy. Yeah. Can I just say, as an outsider, I actually had no idea. Like, Not Blowing Smoke to me was the first thing. I had no idea that blowing smoke was actually a thing. So my perception was that that your work was the first thing. And then I was like, oh, they've done this. So
the other way around. And Still Blowing Smoke had a budget of, I think it was $75 million for a period of 4 years. And the first year they spent $7 million. Then, because of what we did in the second year, they still ran it, but they transformed it into something slightly different. And a year and a half ago, they decided to stop using the Still Blowing Smoke stuff and turn it into a different named campaign called Flavors Who Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you're seeing out there is basically the continuation of their PR program, except the 75 million already ran out. So for Flavors Who Kids, they provided a contract to Duncan Cannon, one of those big ad agencies, for $325 million.
And that's when we talk about money.
Yes. $325 million. That is more money than all the other states combined have in tobacco control funding.
And yet California still has like rampant drug problems and homelessness, and $325 million on that, but they can't help people that really need it.
Well, the problem is sort of like delusional. They think they are helping people.
Sort of like San Francisco. They pushed the flavor ban. San Francisco ended up losing $50 million a year. That $50 million would have gone a long way in cleaning up those streets.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't live in California anymore.
Yeah, can't blame you. So did the not blowing smoke thing. Industry stopped funding stuff, and it wasn't just us. It's pretty much all the other organizations, same situation. And I'm like, you know what? I've been doing this for so long. MBS was giving me a small little stipend that basically didn't even cover my bills.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, because apparently I took $12 million from Reynolds and pocketed
You're
it.
rich, bro.
Well, hey, look at where I live. Come on.
You live close to me.
Well, this is where all the multi-millionaires live.
Folks, that is a window fan back there that is not in a window.
That's because the windows are there.
Yeah, to have a box fan that's not in a window.
Love it.
Yeah. So after the funding was drying up, and it was already drying up, so we basically used the funding we raised in 2015 and 16 to make it all the way to the end of 18, which is nothing short of miraculous, really.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if you look at our sheets from 2017 and 18, there's like nothing there. So after deciding to shut it down, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure what to do. And a lot of other slightly bigger interests in the industry were like, we can't let this experience and insight go to waste. You've got connections, you've got the political connections, you've got this extensive network. So why don't you start your own public affairs firm? Because that makes it easier to just contract you, just like all the other places do with all their public affairs firms.
And so that's Igniter.
Yeah, so I already had Igniter as a business name. That DBA was on the books pretty much within weeks after I moved to California. I never managed to do anything with it simply because I got completely sidetracked with all this advocacy stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Igniter had this like really great slogan, which was aimed at the tech industry. And it was turning small sparks into big bangs, because that's sort of what I always did in the tech industry. We take a small little idea and make it a huge success. So small sparks, big bang, the Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can still sort of use the same slogan, except I hope nobody thinks about batteries and explosions. And then, of course, I'm like,
your phone's about to explode right now.
As my phone's about to like go off. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I can't really use the MBS branding anymore because that's just going to confuse people. So I decided Igniter just puts out a publication called THR Policy, which is why people are like seeing the THR Policy logo pop up in places with alerts and calls to action and stuff. So yeah, that's basically an extension of Igniter. And these days I work mostly with a handful of vapor companies who are willing to actually spend the money to get expert help. For the most part, however, it's the slightly bigger players and their organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I told you it was easy. Everybody's gonna follow that. No, but
and all that happened in a span of like what, 6 years?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, we talked about this the other night, where it's been hard to kind of keep track. A lot of people are still like thinking that NBS is like still like rolling and like all this stuff, and I'm like, because I get people asking me, about stuff like that. I'm like, well, no. If you just look at the page, it shows like end date.
Yes, and here's the funny thing: MBS is officially not shut down yet. Because what we've learned in the process was it was a pain in the ass to start a nonprofit and do it the proper way with lawyers and proper bylaws and getting all that sorted. Shutting one down is 10 times worse. And we decided not to spend our last few $1,000s on lawyers because they wanted way more than we could afford to like shut it down.
And what's it hurting just sitting?
Not much, but
other than like the questions of, hey, is that still a thing?
Well, I'm like, the social media stuff is there. I'm not gonna like shut down the Facebook groups where there's like thousands of people in there, because one, it doesn't cost anything to have those.
Exactly.
So yeah, let those run, but technically nothing's being maintained or updated or any of that.
I still send people the not blowing smoke too, like just to go there and look at the
There's still
data.
great information there. I mean, yeah.
I'm trying to keep the domains up and running for as long as I can, mostly for historical purposes, because there is a lot of information there
Absolutely.
gathered over the many years. I'm also still keeping the No More Casualties page alive as best as I can, which unfortunately 2016 best shot the industry had at like doing an actual campaign.
Like a real campaign.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, when we started it, before we actually did anything, we created a 5-page full color prospectus to explain what the plan was, 3 stages. This is the content. Content will be available for free. You do the media placement because you get to decide how to spend your money, where to spend your money. We don't have to fundraise centrally, and we can make online content go viral offline.
Yeah.
Everybody was a massive supporter. When we told them about the first part about using a disabled veteran who vaped, everybody was like, great. Then we told them about the second part about this old lady who got scared back to smoking, and she's with an oxygen mask and stuff. And then the third part, we had like our little 6-year-old girl at a gravestone in the Oakland cemetery, basically looking at the camera and saying, why did you make my mommy a casualty of your wars?
Yeah, I used that in part of the promo for today.
Right, and everybody had goosebumps. Everybody was like, oh my God, if we can get that like on local channels and radio, that's... So we went off and produced it. And when we finally had the content up, one by one, all the industry supporters were like, yeah, could you cut off the last 5 or 10 seconds because we need to slap our logo on it. Everybody suddenly wanted to use it as advertising. And I'm like, with the statements we make, you cannot use that as advertising. It's a public service announcement.
Exactly.
We can make those because we're a consumer-driven organization. You can't. You slap your logo on it, all the credibility is gone.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that went nowhere. It ran on a bunch of local TV stations. The radio spots were run. I mean, it did actually get somewhere, but it didn't turn into what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, yeah, we're not going to produce the other 3 parts.
Yeah, like you said, it could have been. I mean, that could have been something. I mean, really something.
And the reason I'm still having that page and the videos and all the content online is because, you know what? I deal with a lot of public affairs and PR firms from the larger companies. They look at it and go, and they literally are mind boggled. Like, how was this not supported? Like this, and this is like three people who put that together. The entire idea and the concept and the idea for the graphics was born in like 2 evenings. So apparently big PR firms really like it, except of course they can't run it because they're
can't use it.
The wrong side of. If their name's attached to it, then all credibility's gone too.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I mean, we saw what happened in San Francisco, right? Oh, hey, let's run a few harm reduction commercials, brought to you by RJ Reynolds.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. And you know what's funny? I was going, in preparation of this, I was going over some of the old stuff, like when, from that Prop E rally or whatever, because I wanted to use some of that video for the thing today. And I started watching some of it, and I just got like so mad again that I was like, dude, I'm not even going to include any of it. Like, it was like making me fucking angry. Because I mean, that rally was just like, oh my God, it was just crazy,
Yep, and remember the protesters that they send in to protest our rally? Oh my God!
Like 4 people, like professional protesters. They didn't even know what the sign they were holding. They were just standing there. And nobody was being rude to them or whatever, but we were all just like, why are you even here? What you don't even have any dog in this fight. You don't even care. Mm-hmm. And we all care, Yeah,
and hey, here's the funny part. We might be looking at doing it again soon.
Well, okay, that's something I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, we had a thing that was, or not we, I wasn't involved in it, but we talked about it. You had a thing going for the 12th. And then what? Somebody caught some word, and then they bumped the meeting up?
So the story here is that Suddenly, a few months ago, San Francisco decided we're going to look at a proposal to ban the sales of all vapor products in the city, including online sales and
Yep.
shipping to residents. Now, first thing everybody always asks me is like, how they're going to enforce that? Well, they don't have to. They'll just pull a Chicago. Chicago is T21. Illinois, the state that Chicago is in, is T18. What Chicago did was basically online sting operations, order stuff, get it in, have the evidence, and then they sue the living shit out of the companies or extort money to settle out of court and have them sign a document that they'll never ship to Chicago again.
Exactly.
So you do that with a dozen companies, everybody's going to put the city on a no ship list.
Yep.
So a total ban on all vapor products unless FDA approved. Well, okay, that's none. Zero. Absolutely zero. This proposal is coming from Supervisor Shimon Walton. Well, I was face-to-face with him a few weeks ago. Had a retailer with me who actually blew up and ran out of the meeting because...
Really? Yeah, I can see that.
Well, the supervisor literally told him to his face, I really don't care about your business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that goes right back to what that young lady said at the rally last year.
Yes.
I mean, that was mind-boggling.
Oh, during the flavor ban,
yeah.
we had Malia Cohen literally tell one of the retail organizations, you came here seeking the American, to someone who was born here, you came here seeking the American dream, but maybe the dream is not what you hoped for. And in the meantime, you're selling products that are killing my people, but then again, you people like killing people.
Right? And she was Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And this is documented. This isn't just like somebody saying something. Like
right,
this,
what people don't understand is that at the heart of flavor bans and the organizations pushing them is the issue of menthol cigarettes, which comes with the issue of what they consider social justice. So the heart of all flavor bans is very racial, very ethnic, very disgusting.
Absolutely.
So
what the AAACL.
AATCLC, the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. Yeah,
they were the ones that had their picture taken in front of Beverly Hills City Hall, real fucking proud of themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so, I remember that shit.
Right. So Supervisor Walton basically wants to protect the kids from the evil of e-cigarettes. He seems to not quite understand that San Francisco is a city that is well below half of the national average when it comes to the number of kids in the city. I think that's probably related to the fact that, one, if you're a parent, you don't want your kids growing up in that city. And two, you can't really have a family in San Francisco because you would be spending $6,000 a month in rent just
absolutely the way the city's laid out, plus the cost of living, plus the fact that the schools, you would think in a city that is so high end that you would have decent school system. They do not. Anything that involves the city actually putting effort into something and being in charge of something goes to shit there.
Right. So there's hardly kids there to protect.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that it really isn't about protecting the kids because activist city attorney Herrera is basically the driving force behind this thing. And he's being pushed by tobacco-free kids because pushing for the first city to do this, specifically on the grounds that these products are not FDA approved, is supposed to help the American Academy of Pediatrics versus FDA in their lawsuit, which is another topic. Yeah. Anyway, that's the whole reason all this is going on. In the meantime, Walton got wind of the fact that if this passes in San Francisco, there's no other recourse than doing a ballot measure and pulling a referendum. And of course, Juul being the main target, they started hiring a few people. And based on the people that got hired, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you're preparing for a ballot measure. I mean, it's just, the sort of firms and the sort of people you hire, it's pretty clear. So Walton saw that coming, and he decided to move the introduction from early last month all the way to mid this month, because the longer it takes for him to introduce that thing, the longer it takes to pass, the less time we have to do a referendum, because a referendum requires campaigning. Campaigning requires booking media channels. Booking media channels needs at least 90 days advance notice to get all the primetime spots. So the less time you have, the less effective you're going to be. And the elections in San Francisco are on November 5th.
Mhm.
So he's been trying to push to close the window of time. In the meantime, it was set for the 13th this month. A public affairs firm was hired to do some rallying and a major media rally event on the evening of the 12th. Unfortunately, Walton decided, you know what, I'm going to have the entire committee thing just do a special meeting on a day that they normally don't get together, and we're going to do it a week earlier, which leaves us a week to do a rally, which is impossible because you can't get the venue booked, you can't get anything done. So he did that just to fuck with us.
Mhm.
Excuse my French. So yeah, we're looking at next Friday when the introduction of the ordinance is going to happen in a committee of 3 people, of which he is one.
Ha.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Yep.
No, that's purely what I was going to
and
say.
I mean, how many times have we heard that though? How many times does that happen when they move something, they put it on a time slot that people can't show up?
Mhm.
You know, it's like the oldest trick in their book, but they keep doing it and it keeps fucking working. You know, it's fucking tough, man.
Yeah, and like literally a day before, the venue wasn't completely locked in yet. I'm looking at the agenda, looking over everything else, and I'm like, yep, there's no changes. I booked myself a hotel for 12th and 13th because being in the city at the in the evening and then being back there at like 10:30 in the morning with a 90-minute commute, and I'm like, nah, I'll just stay in the city. So now I've got a hotel on the 12th, and I'll figure out some fun.
Hey, bro, hey, let's go do something, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, go see a show. Fuck it.
Right. But yeah, in the meantime, it screws with all the schedules because now all the people you've told, oh, it's on the 13th, blah, 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 this is your time. Yeah, now you have to accelerate all that, which means we're probably not going to have the sort of turnout that we hoped for. But yeah. And in the meantime, we know that this committee is probably going to pass it. Then it goes into the full board of supervisors. Well, there's 4 supervisors, including Walton, who are in support of this. There's 10 supervisors and a mayor. Well, 1 or 2 of the other committee that he strong-armed to change the date must be in agreement with him. So that's at least 5 to 6. It looks like this is very likely going to pass. So the only option is a referendum, and Jill has been smart enough to already file the ballot measure so that we don't lose the time on any of that and can go straight into collecting signatures and moving ahead. So yeah, history seems to repeat itself in San Francisco.
Very much so.
Are they slipping it in with other things that they're scheduled for the meeting, or is it just that?
No, well, there's 4 other items in that particular meeting, and they're mostly contractual things where the city enters into contracts with certain vendors about stuff. But they're introducing 2 ordinances. One is basically a total ban on the sales of all vapor products unless FDA approved, including online sales. The other one is an ordinance that bans vapor companies from doing business on city-owned property, because Walton has a hard-on for Jewel the size of Rhode Island.
Oh yeah,
he hates them with a passion.
A big Jewel and a big hard-on.
Oh yeah, during the face-to-face, I literally told him, I said, well, there's no way you can get Jewel out of the dog patch building that they're in right now at the pier, and he literally sat back and he was like, oh, we'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Like an old Western, the old hillbilly sheriff, like, well, partner.
Yeah, so
fuck off.
he wants them out of the place. Funny thing is, apparently the city prefers to have a fucking brewery in the building. Yeah, okay, E6 bad, alcohol good. Wow,
Right.
like, this headline writes itself, right?
Right.
Make sure you have a drink before you drive home to your family.
Right.
Exactly.
Maybe even 3.
because
it's fair.
we're also protecting the cigar club, so you can get a drink on your way to the
Oh yeah, the cigar clubs. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Right. So he basically wants Jewel out of the city, and he's been on record saying, I would rather have them out of there yesterday. We don't want this company here. Look at this company. It's like generating 2,200 jobs. it generates tax revenue. Sorry guys, you're looking at a place that surpassed Uber. Then again, the city also hates Uber, so
right. For such a progressive city, they're not big on progress.
And in the meantime, Jill's looking at buying a high-rise building that's a few blocks from the Embarcadero BART station.
Oh fuck.
Well, there's no space in the Dog Badge headquarters anymore. So Walton is probably going to get what he wants, get them out of that building, but he's not going to get them out of the city.
They're going to be a little bit closer to his little fucking office. You're all going to be able to see him from the window. Hey, look at that!
Yeah,
those fucking assholes.
hey, let's hope that somebody decides to put like big lettering on top of the building.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe like once a month they'll just dump all their like spent Juul cartridges out on them.
Yeah, I know.
Well, as long as it doesn't hit the ground, because I recently saw this commercial by the Truth Initiative, and apparently you can't let these pods hit the ground because it's bad for the worms.
Have you seen that one?
Oh,
you know, I would like to talk a little bit about these campaigns.
Yeah, about those fucking cigarette butts.
Yeah, that's one of them where they showed like, you know, it looks like some sort of like apocalypse happened, but there's no like crumbled buildings or like dead bodies. It's all these little fucking Juul pods, and like they're talking about how like it's gonna kill the fucking earthworms and the grass will never grow again and all this shit. It's like wow.
Yes, all the mango pods are addicting to worms, and worms are addicted to nicotine. Like, this is gonna drive kids away from vaping. How?
It's unbelievable. But I think the worst one is the new ones that I'm pretty sure it's Flavors for Kids that are doing, where they're using the term brain poison, and what it is a campaign built around what happens to children when they go through puberty.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these kids are just doing puberty things, but they're saying no, your kid's crazy, not because he's going through changes and getting hormones all through his body. It's because he's on that nicotine, bro. Come the fuck on! Like how easy is that to see through? Every one of those kids that they show in that fucking commercial is just doing what a kid does when he goes through fucking puberty and he starts getting all these things going on, or she, or whatever. And they're like, oh no. So now they have every parent in America, when their kid starts acting like an asshole, which invariably they all will. Now they're looking in their drawers trying to find them fucking Juuls or vapes or whatever, you know. And it's like, come on, man.
Right, and let's apply some common sense here. So nicotine will cause brain damage. Well, most people started smoking when they were young. Apparently, the brain damage has not actually like happened because there's no documented cases. And the other thing is, nicotine and vaping and smoking will make you impotent, and your balls will shrink, and your ding-along won't work.
I got King Kong balls. Suck it.
Well, remember the time after the war when almost everybody smoked?
Yeah, they were handing out packs to GI.
Right. So how did that baby boom come around if everybody was fucking impotent?
Right. And that's the thing. It's like they talk about all these side effects, but it's like, seriously, look at that fact of how everybody in like my generation, your generation, previous generations, were all smoking cigarettes that are chock full of motherfucking nicotine from the time they were 12.
Mm-hmm.
How come none of that happened to us? But now
it's a problem.
Come on.
It's an epidemic.
It's fucking
nicotine causes massive acne breakouts as well.
Right?
Yep.
It's like steroids. It shrinks your balls and gives you back knee. It's like you don't get strong. Get the fuck out.
Can I ask?
Fucking crazy.
I want to ask a question about back to the nicotine in the defiling the earth. Doesn't the agricultural industry use nicotine?
Yeah, it's a pesticide. They used to.
Yes.
They used to. They're not so much anymore, but they did.
No, they don't use it as much anymore because they've now found this thing called Monsanto Roundup, and it's so much better.
Exactly, Monsanto. That's wheelhouse. Oh, you just said the magic word. It's about to go down.
Years from now, your carrots 20 years from now will still have the glyphosates in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it'll never go away.
Yeah,
that's co-signed by DuPont, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you guys want to know something funny? Since we were talking about the brain effects, right, of nicotine in adults, right? Does anybody ever bring up like the fact of like fluoridated water?
That's a big thing in Australia.
Yeah.
Because fluoridated water has been found to lower IQ
Right.
in kids that consume it, and then they dump it into water sources.
Into water treatment plants all across the United States. Yeah.
But it's nicotine that's the problem as well, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, well, in California specifically, I mean, alcohol, amazing. Condoms, great. Seatbelts, oh, absolutely required.
Harm
Helmets,
reduction.
gotta have them. Weed, oh, amazing. Needle exchanges, good.
Right.
Nicotine, oh my God, it's off the devil.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy the hypocrisy that comes around just harm reduction, period. Not even necessarily, I mean, you have all these groups that are like, yeah, wear your seatbelt, like you said. Yeah, fucking wear a condom. Yeah, let's do a needle exchange. And these are the same people saying, oh, no, you can't be vaping. No. There's no science behind that.
Who's
Are
the
you fucking
target market
crazy? There's
for,
tons of science behind it.
who's the target market for cucumber flavored condoms?
Hey, I'd chew it like bubble gum. I don't give a fuck. Sounds good to me.
Like Mr. Conehead.
Right, exactly. Beldar Conehead.
He's like, hey, can I get some of that gum? You know what? On second thought, I'm gonna try to cut down. I'm trying to cut down on that cucumber flavored.
And Adam, you know how you said something about nicotine, as a fertilizer type of, isn't that the basis for the reasoning behind the laws in Australia? Was that when those laws were put into place, nicotine was primarily used for that kind of thing. That's why it was labeled as a poison, and they never changed the books around once it came around to cigarettes and vaping and all that shit until recently. Obviously.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of the reason why you can't possess it as a poison, because it was used as an industrial fertilizer. Not fertilizer. I'm sorry. What do you call it? The opposite of a fertilizer.
Absolutely. But
pesticide.
Also,
God damn it, LabWorks. Thank you. Pesticide.
Yeah, I mean, LabWorks will probably talk about that potentially also in the veterinarian industry, but not 100% about that. But it's controlled by the TGA here.
Yeah, exactly.
As a poison. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up Addy Tooney had an excellent question here. I'm sorry if anyone else saw that. Stefan, is there anything positive happening other than one big player that might survive? How can any other company
maybe that
possibly pass TGA? Because we are about positivity.
Well, you want the political answer or the straight honest one?
Who are you talking to, fucker? Come on now.
Well, let's see. PMTA deadline has been moved to August 2021. So if nothing else changes, the shelf life of the independent vapor industry sort of ends around that date. Yeah. There are no efforts going on to change that. And the efforts in the past to try and change things and get some stuff weakened in the FDA deeming regs were mostly always created by other players like Altria and Reynolds. They're not pushing for anything either because, for years it's been an attempt of, well, we open the door, we create something, you guys have to take the ball, run with it and score. Well, after 3 failures, I'm pretty sure.
A lot of fumbling.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not that happy. Then we've got the cigar folks who basically were sort of the reason that we were taken out of the Cole-Bishop amendment on the last round. So yeah, it's not very nice either. So at this point, it doesn't look like anything's going to change that PMTA date. On top of that, we've got the American, the pediatrics and the body parts group and their lawsuit with FDA, and they're basically demanding, well, you have to start PMTA in 120 days, report every 90 days, take all the post-August 8 off the market. Here's the really crazy thing. Now vapors need to hope that FDA is going to appeal this. I'm pretty sure they will, but this is odd because now we have to support the FDA in winning a lawsuit against them.
Yeah, that's interesting. We maybe. What is your opinion of Ned Sharpless?
I don't really have one. I had a stronger one about Gottlieb.
Well, yeah, obviously we've got a little bit more. We've got a little bit more of a journey with Scotty Tuan.
I mean, Sharpless is sort of like I don't know. He's more of a politician. I don't think he's going to be very helpful, but at the same time, he's also slightly stricter on appeasing the current administration, which basically means don't screw around too much with regulations. So pretty sure.
But he gave it to Durbin recently.
Yeah, all that too. Durbin gets easily upset about a whole lot of things.
Yeah, Dig Durbin's a whiny little bitch.
Yes.
I'll say, yeah. That motherfucker.
Yeah, they're just not going to change much. And the stuff that Gottlieb set out was, most of it was political grandstanding anyway, because the whole thing about I am going to this and that, and we're going to decide such and so, and hey, we're going to take these products out of the C-stores. There's actually a nice little line in FDA's own charter. Congress specifically forbids you. Congress specifically forbids the FDA to determine where tobacco products can and can't be sold. So
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's literally literally written explicitly.
Well, that's the thing with Scotty, man. He seemed like such a, he's kind of a.
Which is why none of us took him seriously.
Yeah, he was kind of a demure speaker, kind of like an introverted kind of guy, and then he got on TV one time, and like I always say, this is what he got a little bit of like P.T. Barnum fucking flash of the big lights, and he started fucking throwing zingers out, seeing what'll fucking stick. And that's why people eventually kind of were just like, this guy's talking out his fucking ass most of the time.
And here's the thing, he's not stupid.
No.
And neither are the lawyers who work for FDA. So everybody could see coming what this was resulting into. You do that, you get a lawsuit. Boom, it's going to drag on for another 2-3 years.
It almost seems as if it was just kind of a charade or show.
Mostly.
Yeah, right.
And now he's back. Man. Now he's back with the investment firm that used to invest in the Cure vapors.
Oh, I wish I could. That fucking Stefan troll level 30 on that fucking tweet that he did. Oh, it's so good. Fuck out.
Oh yeah, he announced that he was back at the investment firm, and I'm like, rumor has it that Juul's opening their own stores. Are you looking for investments back in the right? Market where you?
And that slimy fucker was probably like.
So yeah, but with all that going on and nothing really changing, there isn't really any major good news in terms of how that's gonna pan out.
Right. Okay. Well, so let's. I mean, like you didn't give us a whole lot of bad. It was just kind of like, hey, this is what's happening. This is the general thing.
The situation has always sort of been like that.
What about like? What's happening right now? What's happening real soon? What of that are things that people can do right now that might really make an impact, as opposed to some of the shit that I always.
Well, the only thing right now anybody can do is try and save your business for as long as you can, just in case something really big or a miracle might happen. Which you can't rule it out, but. In the meantime, you're stuck with leases. You have to keep operating. You have to keep doing stuff. So at this point, the federal stuff is not as much of a focus. The focus should be on your state issues and specifically your local issues, because a local issue can put you out of business. Look
absolutely.
Again, the e-cig ban in San Francisco has an enactment date 30 days after signage. So if everything moves really fast in San Francisco, we're looking at early to mid-August, and all the vape stores are gone. Yeah, but they're still stuck on leases that they have to pay.
Yep.
Yeah. About that.
So your local issues are much, much more important. And unfortunately, local efforts are pretty hard to get going. The reason San Rafael ended up so good and with such a turnout is because we had one vape store there, which is also like pretty much the biggest place in the entire county, who was willing to put the effort in, put the money in, and that's how we ended up with like 50 people and this entire deliberation that went on for 2 hours. That eventually,
that's huge too. Is when and if you own a vape shop, if you work in a vape shop, I'll take it back to the show that we had that was based around vape shops and what they can do to help. That's the thing, man. Like, there's no better place to start one of these fucking kind of grassroots, hey, let's all go to this fucking hearing, let's all talk, than a vape shop where everybody that comes in is on the team. They're there for that reason. So I mean, you don't want to ram shit down people's throats, but if you're a vape shop that's a real vape shop, you should be talking to your customers a little bit about it, gauge their interest, and if they're fucking into it, get them on board. Get them to get to people that are on board. And then once one of these hearings comes up, you can roll the fuck out, get there, be somebody. You know what I mean?
And I have never seen that many consumers in a local hearing than San Rafael. And at the same time, Ted was like, you know what? I've got 13 employees. I've told them it's mandatory to be in that hearing.
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
Got to be there.
Love it.
Yeah.
So how many vape stores or businesses do you think are in San Francisco?
Okay, so back before December 2016, we had about 22, which is not a whole lot, but San Francisco is not a large city, right? So we had 22. There was already a lot of NIMBY issues, not in my backyard, harassment and bullshitting from little communities and petty legislators. So by the time that leases were up near the end of 2016, about half of them decided to just close up and leave. So we were left with 11. Then the flavor ban hit. 2 decided to stop. Since then, we've only had 9. We've got 1, Chris over at Gum with the Smoke. He's still engaged, involved, and gets to hearings, gets to meetings, does what he needs to do. The other ones are sort of like not even involved anymore. I'm hearing things about, well, I'll sign a petition, but I won't show up at a hearing anymore. Yeah. So they've pretty much lost all hope.
I mean, it's hard though. I mean, you got to understand their feelings. I mean, like in a city like that, especially. I mean, they've just.
And then we had the one retailer who literally didn't lift a fucking finger during the entire flavor ban, didn't want to get involved. And then after the flavor ban is done, somehow the media finds him and his store, and he goes on record saying, well, I was sort of like in favor of this thing because, vaping has turned into
oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I fucking remember that fucking guy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sure they called around first, right? You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, I mean, these journalists, they're not dumb.
Questions to determine whether or not this would be.
Well, they found the right fucking guy because that guy's a fucking jackass.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing: all the local media has Chris and Gun with the Smoke in their media databases to reach out, which is why he's usually the one who appears in San Francisco media stuff. So how the hell they ended up with these guys and had them do a word?
Exactly how they did it right now.
Yeah.
They found him on purpose because he was going to say some shit like that, and that's what they wanted.
Yes, and he went on and on about like, yeah, vaping has changed. It isn't what it was when we started it. And it's true. I mean, they started very, very early on. And yes, the industry has changed. But he was literally like, simple flavors, 1 or 2, or tobacco, or just go back to like the simpler way of things. And well, now you can close up shop.
Oh, okay. Well, guess what? Vaping wasn't invented in the 40s. So fuck it.
Right.
Where is the simpler times?
And here's the other scary part.
Absolutely.
This is also the place that is closest to UCSF physically.
Really?
This is also the place where researchers at UCSF go for advice, research, and buying products. And I know this because I've been talking to several folks who are in Glance's little club. They were doing some studies, and I have no problem with talking to these people and then telling them, no, I'm not going to help you and send vapors to their slaughter. But she was very adamant about how great these people are and how often she talks to them. So this is a store where UCSF gets information and products from. Wow.
No hidden agenda at all.
No.
It's nice to know that integrity is always part of these these
no such thing as integrity when money's involved.
Always.
Yeah.
Because right now in Nevada, I don't know if everybody knows, we have the SB 3 going on. Today is the day. It goes to the governor. So he has the final say on it, and whatever, man. I sent my piece to the legislators. I sent my piece to the governor himself. I just want to take a second and thank VTA and CASA for making those, making it easy for people, right? Because we were able to just share their forms with everybody and get as many people as we could to do that. Sometimes it's even hard just to get people to write their name down and their address. You know what I mean? Like everything's pretty much filled out. You just gotta, to the legislators anyways, you just had to put a little personal blurb about, yourself and why vaping is important to you.
Right.
Sometimes it's just hard enough to get them to do that. And,
that was a very well laid out thing. And I saw, man, got a lot of traction. There's a lot of fucking reposts, a lot of, and that's good to see, man. I mean, not everything does.
I have fond memories of Nevada. I was there 2 years ago for an expo that ended up not happening. It was basically a very, very large expo where Vapor was going to be a part of it. Somehow the organization dropped the ball, and I was told like a week before that, your speaking slot has been canceled because we're not doing this whole vaping thing. And I'm like, great, I just got a hotel booked and it's not refundable. So I went to Vegas anyway.
Poor you.
Yeah,
must have been tough.
I was horrible.
Anyway,
halfway through, Alex over at CASA goes like, "Hey, they're actually having a hearing on their tax bill like tomorrow," and I'm like, well, that's in Carson City. He goes like, "No, you can actually like testify in Vegas because they've got this like mobile remote video conferencing thing set up."
It's nice though because most of us, the population, is in Las Vegas.
Right, and in the meantime, I'm like, "Shit,
goddamn desert everywhere else."
I didn't bring any dress clothes because, like, well, I'm here wasting time. So Jesus, fuck. So first thing in my mind was like, okay, let me ask a local. Where do you buy clothes here? So they sent me to this place that has like all these stores and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it.
Probably the South Outlets, folks. It's on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yes.
Pro tip.
Hopped into an Uber, drove off, found a dress shirt, found a blazer, and next day went in and testified against them. Damn.
Well, thank you for that.
And it's sort of odd to have Nevada actually pass a vapor tax bill. It's so
right, because everybody from California came here to get away from that shit because they figured they would never do that here. This is Sin City, like, I mean, and you know what it is? It's just I don't mean to be political or whatever, but since I've lived here, the influx of Democrats into the state is just, it's insane. And they've changed all kinds of stuff. Like basically all the stuff you come to Nevada for, because you don't get that anywhere else except for what, like New Mexico or Texas. You know what I mean?
which is also fucking losing its mind.
Yeah, but
it's because more people from California are moving to Texas too.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're bringing their politics with them.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It really is. And I wholeheartedly believe that that's what this wholesale tax bill was, the SB 263 amendment was, because it was brought in by a Democrat.
Tax bills usually are.
Yeah.
If a Republican brings in a tax bill on vapor issues, it is usually because a Democrat already had one, and the Republican one gets pushed because it's more controllable.
Right.
Yeah. They'll tidy it up a little bit and put some money towards where they want it to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's up to the governor now, but as it was looking, like they already tried to pull a fast one when they were going to present it and everything, and everybody was like scrambling to get ready because they were like, oh shit, now they're going to do it. They pulled it out last minute, basically.
Right.
And
that goes back to exactly what we were talking about.
Exactly. I've seen it unfold. Right. I saw the emails, like, all the vapor shops around here, that not all of them, but a lot of them, they connect, and they're on a giant email chain, and they're all talking about it. And I saw it and I was just like, geez, man, like they really tried to pull a fast one. And then also the week during that, the FDA sent scouts here looking for post August 8th products in all the shops. Well,
Wow.
not all the shops, of course, but a lot of the main
Yeah.
vapor shops out here.
Oh, they
big
actually
ones.
send in decoys, or they send in actual people ready with documentation, like, hey, we're with the FDA doing it, or do they send in kids?
Actual people looking
Okay,
for post
all right.
August 8th products, and they were ready to write them up.
Wow.
Shit.
Right. Same thing with the tax situation in Washington State.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like us here in
knew that
Nevada, we
2009
thought we would be the
bad.
very last ones to experience anything. Like if you know what I mean?
I know.
Right.
With how
Arizona
big
and
smoking-
Nevada.
Yeah, how big smoking, drinking, all that shit is here. We thought we would be the last ones to ever see anything.
Right. Though I will have to admit that the casinos are fairly protective of cigarette sales in general.
They are, but if you go to them, they have their own little shops of cigars. They all have vaporizers in them now. They all have e-cigs in them
Oh, yeah.
of some sort, right? And their variety has actually gotten a lot better in the recent years because
Really?
I go to the casinos every once in a while, and I walk around and I sure as hell I look in those places and see what they got going in there.
It's been a long time since I've been to Vegas.
The best
got
thing
some-
I've ever seen in a Vegas hotel, and I can't remember which hotel it was. I think it was the hotel that Vape Fest was at. I think was it the Pepper Mill or no, not the Pepper Mill.
Pepper Mill's in Reno.
Yeah, Pepper Mill is here, but it's like a
Oh, they all in there?
No, wasn't the Pepper Mill? Wasn't shit. The hotel that Vape Fest was usually at. Slightly older one. Anyway, come into the room and there's this nice foldable thing on the table, and it said this is a no smoking room, but if you absolutely have to, here, have a disposable enjoy.
No shit. What the fuck? Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was good.
They would rather promote that in their rooms so they don't smell like smoke.
Well, yeah, of course.
Why not?
That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy, though.
Yeah.
That was good marketing.
Yeah,
Right?
I never heard them giving you a vaporized.
But
what I mean?
there's a few hotels that actually do, and not only in Vegas. I've seen a few pictures from other people. I think Finn at some point, some other brand had e-cigarettes in hotel rooms.
See, if you just change the way you look at things, things could be amazing. That's an incredible situation.
Right, put it in front of people, have it available everywhere.
Yep. When
Yeah,
you guys
who-
talk
who,
about companies
who-
moving to
Who owns?
Sorry, Kevin.
Who owns Enjoy, by the way?
Enjoy is still privately owned with a bunch of investors and equity firms.
Is it still?
Yeah, they recently tried to do a round of fundraising in the hopes of getting to a $5 billion valuation. They fell short, and they're valued at about $2 billion at this point. But it's all still.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
For them. For them.
I thought they were still independent, but I wasn't for sure because they're still all over the place. So you have to wonder,
Yes. No, they're still independent.
Yeah, that's interesting. Does chat, anybody have questions for Stefan? Don't worry, we'll wait.
Don't worry, we
Wait,
won't bite.
while we're waiting, how about we tell a little story about the first time that I had some of Stefan's DIY liquid.
Oh.
he just spit all over his thing.
Well, it wasn't the flavor that
It was a great flavor. I loved it. It was fantastic. Okay, so you can actually
Wait on
my
wait
YouTube
on.
somewhere. It's me and Stefan and JBC. We all went to this watering hole, and we sat down for a conversation. And, it was for a little thing that I was going to do. Anyway, so we're all hanging out, and we're having some beers, and we're just talking. It's fun. And I'm like, hey man, what do you got in there? And he's like, oh, it's this mango thing. And everybody that knows me knows that I'm like a mango freak, right? I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, let me try it. He's like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, oh, I make it. I'm like, oh, cool. You do the DIY thing. That's cool. I suck at that. So this bar is actually on the dock of the Delta, right? So we're like right on this high thing next to the water. And I take it and I take a couple drags and I'm like, oh wow, that's really, oh my God. I almost fall in the water. He's got this like, this was before I would do any Nick salts or anything. So he's got this like, what was it? 50, was it 50, right? Yeah,
Yep.
50 milligram that he makes. And like, I just wasn't ready for it. And I almost fell off. It was great though. It was very well made. But
And it was 50 on not an entirely small device. It was
yeah, exactly. It wasn't like a little time. And I hit it too. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, it was an Innokin T18.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It had a slightly bigger coil than the usual pod system stuff.
Yeah, man, that was fun.
So somebody just asked, "What's my mango recipe?" I'm not entirely sure about the percentage on the first one without having to look it up, but actually, I can look it up.
Oh yeah.
I should have it right here.
Hey.
Oh well, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about we're gonna get some recipe action.
Oh, I got excited about the booty though.
Yeah, you would.
I
Okay,
know.
so it's 11% flavor art mango and 1/4% Capella mango. You have to combine both mangoes because you want the sweetness of the flavor art, which provides the whole flavor, but you want the tanginess of the Capella, which is like really intense.
It is. I've used Capella mango. That it does have like more of like a bitterness to it.
Yes, which
Almost
is
like
why
a
you have to use
rind.
it very, very, very tiny bit of it.
Yeah, it's almost like the rind of the mango.
Yeah,
Right.
and I could definitely attest to the fact it was a great flavor. And I actually hit him up like the next couple of days. I'm like, hey man, what's up? You gonna make me some of that? Maybe make it like
Sure.
like this. Bring that down like this. It was great.
And I recently discovered if you add a tiny little bit of vanillin in it, it really softens up the mango and makes it sort of like a sweet mango vanilla thing. I
Really?
haven't quite made
What
up
is
my mind yet, but
What'd you say you put in it?
vanillin, vanilla,
What is that? Is that a
Yeah,
is that,
vanillin, man. Jeez, where are you from?
vanillin.
You don't know. You didn't know what you were saying.
I still don't.
Basically vanilla flavor.
Yeah,
oh, vanilla.
it's
I thought
yeah.
I thought you were saying vanilla, but in your weird Dutch thing. And I didn't understand what was happening. I was very confused. God damn it.
After
I
earlier,
actually.
That's why I don't do this DIY shit. Fuck you guys. You guys talk.
Adam, what'd you say?
I actually thought Stefan was going to say Ventolin, and I thought it was a very poor joke on seizures and ammonia. I was like, yeah, good joke, my friend. Good joke.
Oh, by the way, I had somebody who checked
Thanks,
on Miss Zampi. Apparently, she still works for that organization.
Really?
Yep.
No shit.
Yep.
Wow. Miss
Yeah,
Ammonia
I'm
herself? Little Miss Ammonia?
Huh?
Wow.
She had a wage doc, that's all.
She didn't get paid for that day. Yeah, that day she didn't get paid for.
You know what the interesting thing is? After the whole, as I call it, Zampi-gate, there has been a detectable change in 3 hearings since that time. We have had people from different organizations, specifically tobacco control groups, come up and say, I'm not speaking for my organization tonight. I'm here as a concerned parent.
Mm-hmm.
And it became so apparent that in 3 hearings, that became a pattern, which normally wasn't a pattern. I have a feeling that Zampi-gate might have contributed to a little bit of caution on their part.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it because the day after the organization, I saw, the post that I saw came from you where it was actually communicated between them. They're like, hey, no. She wasn't there on our behalf or whatever, and then it became a thing. And I don't doubt it. But the thing is, you'll always be able to pick those people out, even if they're just like, oh no, I'm just this, because they got all the same talking points as the fucking tobacco control people. So it's not just some lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing that's interesting that I noticed in a recent hearing in, I think it was Fremont. No, was it Fremont? I can't remember. I mean, I've got like 6 or 7 of these things going on every week.
Yeah.
We had kids from a high school testifying who were not scripted.
Really?
Well,
no scripts?
Well, they were reading off their own scripts, but you could tell that they sort of wrote it themselves and they pieced together bits and bobs that they found on the internet because it wasn't flowing as well. It wasn't hitting the stage points that are always in sequence.
So what it was the teacher or the whoever gave them a template and said, say this in your own words.
Right, and like come up with something. And
because that goes back to Alameda, I'm sure. Where it was just obvious.
Right, but since they weren't scripted and had to write their own shit, I noticed another detectable pattern. They were talking about this brand, and that brand.
It was never them. It was never them.
Well, the interesting thing is, if it's scripted, it's Juul.
Yeah.
If they're unscripted, all of a sudden it's like Soren, Nova, this, that, and Jules.
Right?
Huh.
The people actually using the devices that teens think are cool.
Which we see a lot more of in schools than we see of school.
Right?
Wow, you're unscripted and you're actually like being honest this time. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, no, I can say too for a fact, because I have my home shop here, Sevens in Brentwood, right? He's a real cool guy. I've known AB for, I don't know, 7 years now. I've been going in that shop. And that's what he's told me, because we've talked about this kind of stuff. And I asked him, I'm like, with all this stuff going, but he doesn't sell Juul there. But even if he did, he says people come in, they ask for the Soren that looks like a teardrop.
Yep.
That's the one that they all want.
Yep.
Because it's just as hideable. You put your own liquid in it, and like that's the one that has been real, like around here. I mean, that's obviously anecdotal. That's anecdotal, but I mean every time I ask him, he says that's the one that when I throw kids out that are trying to buy shit that they ain't supposed to buy, that's what they're asking for.
Right, and it coincides with what I've been seeing over the past months, because I collect pictures that are taken in schools of drawers and boxes of confiscated vapor products.
Yeah,
I also look at every single media article about it where reporters literally write an anti-Juul article, take a picture of all the confiscated shit, and there's like either no Juul or one Juul in the midst of everything else. And it's actually all those Sorens that make up the majority. And here we have kids actually bringing it up when they're not scripted.
That's crazy.
What's funny is, the Soren's cheaper.
Yes.
Cheaper, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's cool looking.
Yeah, first and foremost.
Right? I mean, it comes in colors. What the fuck?
Put your own shit in it.
I've also personally liked all of the bot comments from Soren on my Instagram.
Oh, are they big on that? I think I blocked them a long time ago.
Yeah, they are.
Awful.
Just unrelenting. I've actually got a question. This person, Erin King Sweeney, that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter lately. Is that
what was it?
Erin
King Sweeney?
She's the councilwoman for Hampstead Town's 5th District. There's a lot of people retweeting her because she's about Big Vape. The gig is up.
Oh,
I'm seeing that a lot lately.
Big Vape. Okay.
I've never heard of her. I'm not on Twitter as much as I was.
I'm not sure why the term Big Vape is coming up again. That was a thing back in, I think it was like late 2015. Julia Belluz from Vox posted an article. We went completely ballistic on her on Twitter because it was like so factually incorrect, worst thing ever. And she decided to do a follow-up and started labeling us as Big Vape. For months, we had literally like 200 people on Twitter changing their name to whatever name, Big Vape or Big Vape, whatever name. It became a thing, and it was fun for a few months.
That's a big vape.
That's a big vape.
It's huge. A big vape.
Yeah.
There's a lost vape clone. It's not as big as a fucking vape. This is a cinder block, goddammit.
Takes 18 650s.
Right. Yeah, it's like one of those crazy Vaporgate things with 37 18 650s in it.
Yeah, the back.
Well, then we've got like the Parents Against Vape, the PAVE people.
Hey.
Yeah, really funny because they keep harping on Big Tobacco 2.0, and I'm like, Prohibition 2.0.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean that ends that argument.
But by the way,
Right?
the arguments from PAVE are so bad, and like they have no clue about social media. And recently, this other group of parents launched on Twitter called Parents United, Parents United for Flavors, Puff.
Puff!
Yes, and
Yeah.
they have a logo that looks very much like PAVE, and yeah,
That's amazing. I like that.
they're having a lot of fun with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little Twitter war.
So can we talk a little bit about Voices for Vaping, Stefan? Do you know? much about that?
I'm aware of that thing. Yes, I have nothing to do with it though.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know anything about it either.
Yeah, I was just well, I mean, it's making the rounds in the activist situation, and
It's one of those PR efforts that should have reasonably been done in 2016 moving forward. It's plus there's not that much money being thrown at it, because if you look at the social media advertising stuff, I believe it's up to about 35,000 bucks so far spent on Facebook. Which,
On Facebook.
yeah, I know it sounds like a lot, but during the referendum in San Francisco, I think the total social media expenditure just on one city was 380,000 in 3 months over every single social media platform. So the cost of doing such a thing and doing it effectively and actually reaching everywhere where it's not preaching to the choir requires a whole lot more money. Like you're talking millions.
Yeah.
but your efforts culled a $7 million spend.
Yeah. Right.
We spent.
Yeah,
we
spent
$7 million.
Right.
Spent.
Yeah.
Blown.
It's like making it rain.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're coming around to it. What do you think there, Malone?
It's about time to wrap this shit up.
Those guys chops off his beard and he gets all jaded. Jesus Christ. Yeah, fuck you guys. Whatever.
Here's the thing. You can never be in San Francisco and say, wrap that shit up.
Oh, God, dude.
I want to say one thing for myself in closing before we go, since we were on the subject, and I want the words to be marked. There's a reason why Juul is becoming synonymous with vaping, and I'm sure shortly we'll figure out exactly why. But I'm sure some of us have already kind of figured that out and know, but we'll know for sure soon. It's coming to a head.
Yes.
So I just want to put that out there, because Juul's always the hot topic, right? There's a reason. And what Stefan said earlier about the kids and the non-scripture says it all.
It does. It really does.
I mean,
That's a great point.
The main reason Juul is a target, and I hear from a lot of people like, oh, we didn't have this media problem when Juul wasn't around. Yes, we did. Nothing really changed. The only thing that changed is they could never really point at a single problem or a single brand because there are so many. And all of a sudden, Juul becomes a threat. Well, what do you go after? The industry that doesn't pose a threat because it has a shelf life and everybody knows it's going to end, or do you go after it? So that's why they got singled out. Plus, of course, the whole, bigger than life thing. But yeah, we had the same bad press before.
I think there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's the conspiracy theorist inside of me. And that's my personal opinion, that I really feel that there's more to it.
Oh, a lot more.
There's a reason that they're the ones that are being put on the table, and I don't think it has anything to do with them being a scapegoat. I think it's purposeful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
But I guess what should we do? Just have everybody or have Stefan outro for us and tell us about
what? Adam had something.
Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry, apologize.
Yeah. Because there's been so much negativity in this discussion, I thought I'd. Because I think what everyone needs to remember is we all need to stockpile as much, digital cigarettes as we can possibly get our hands on. I like to call it digital cigarettes.
Coils, all of them.
Yeah. But as a thank you to all the people who want to educate themselves and watch this situation, the reality of what's going on in this industry. I'm giving a 25% discount on my coils, which you can get on breezetones.com. So for the next 6 days, because Australia is in the future, it's supposed to be 7 days, but it's 6 days. If you put in the code Amigos25,
What is it?
Amigos25, all one word, it will be 25% discount on coils because the government is trying to shut us down.
Absolutely.
So, yes, we do ship. They're coming from Stefan's house.
I am now running Breeze Tones from Stefan's garage.
They're not. Yeah. But it seems a bit ridiculous to be saying that. But absolutely, I want people to get their hands on some quality gear. So running that for the next 6 days. Go to the website, buy yourself some shit, and stockpile for the Armageddon coming.
Absolutely. And do we want to? I don't know if we didn't talk about it. We can talk about it real quick right now. Order from breezetones.com, and if you're here, maybe they can come from me still. You want to do that, Adam?
Oh, absolutely. If you've still got stock in the US, yep.
Yeah. So I still have stock, so I can send it out. So it'll be much quicker turnaround if you're in the United States.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay.
Done.
So,
Stefan, thank you so much.
You're the man, bro.
You're welcome anytime. And
I appreciate you, brother.
To close on a positive note, we
You can sing a song. Sing a song. Do it.
we stalled a flavor ban, and it's all thanks to the Hookah Chamber of Commerce, which,
right, the hookah thing,
which basically should send a very clear signal that things are actually workable. You just need to think outside of the box and make sure you have allies in other areas, because you never know when ethnic minorities might make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely, dude, for sure. No, it's crazy. Okay. Hookahs.
Hookah.
Hookahs.
Hashtag hookahs, bitch.
Smoke them.
Hookah alpha. Anyway, yes, we appreciate it, Stefan, and we got to get together before you're out of town again, man.
Yes. Well, I'm stuck in California for quite a while now, with San Francisco at least going on for another 2 months.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you, Stefan. And it's been awesome having you on here. It's a pleasure.
It's been fun.
For sure.
Great show.
Yeah. Pleasure's all
on this side of the table.
Yeah.
All real. All real.
Where can people find you, Stefan?
Facebook under my own name, because I'm basically using my own Facebook timeline for updates and stuff. If you happen to be interested in engaging on flavor bans, we've got a flavor ban and other prohibitions group on Facebook that
a closed group, but
it's a closed group. It's very controlled access, because we did have some tobacco control folks who tried getting in there. So just let me know and I'll add you to it.
Or you can hit me up too, and I'll talk to Stefan.
Right. Other than that, I wouldn't. I mean, keep an eye on MBS on Instagram and Twitter, because I still put stuff out there as
Twitter,
shares. Trying to figure out, like, do I swap the branding out, because
I don't think so, man. It's such, and that's why I asked you. I'm like, hey, man, I'm gonna run a lot of MBS stuff in the promos, because that's what people recognize or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. But here's the thing: people are like on there, so it doesn't cost me anything to keep it. So keep an eye on all the regular stuff, and things are going to be pretty busy, because I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flavor bans coming up in the next 4 weeks.
Jeez. Well, we all wish you luck, man.
Thank you.
We all wish you the best of luck.
And I can vouch, Stefan's Twitter game is strong.
Yeah. Twitter head.
Yeah.
Now, here's the challenge. Figure out which other 28 Twitter accounts are also.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. There's a lot of Stefan out there in the world. There's a lot of them.
Oh, dear.
Troll level 30.
Yeah.
All right, chat. Everybody have a good night, and thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you for hanging out.
Amigos. Vámonos.